Hey, how you doing out there today? So, here's my question. Did you go see Captain America Civil War? Now, this is not going to be a movie review, in case that's what you were thinking. But I do want to use that to lead into my point today. Basically, what the movie is about is the world governments are starting to worry that the Avengers could possibly be causing more trouble than the good that they've been doing. And, this happens every once in a while with different types of people when they see some of the bad stuff that happens when other people are trying to do good. And that's how come we have laws against vigilantes and such, things like that. But remember, these are, kind of extraordinary movies, these Marvel movies or any of the DC movies. So what ends up happening is this guy who was a general in earlier movies and now he's the Secretary of State for the United States pulls some of these Avengers together and kind of shows them film of some of the bad things that have been happening and then says that the governments around the world have decided that enough is enough and they want them to sign this thing that they call the Sokovia Accords, which basically says that the Avengers will now report to a body of the United Nations that will determine when they can go out and save the world or not. And you end up with this fraction of the Avengers where, they've always been able to kind of go off on their own. And you have a certain group that still wants to do that. And you have this other group that's saying, we need to have someone control us and tell us what to do. And, if you haven't seen the movie, you need to go because this is a wonderful movie. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it immensely. However, the point here is that anytime you are in a leadership position and you decide to pit your employees against each other, stuff is not going to turn out well. This movie actually shows that. The reason it's called Civil War is because it ends up having two sides fighting each other. And it gets ugly. It really gets ugly. No one dies. Now, that basically, I just gave you, threw away something. That's a spoiler. But so what? No one dies, but people get hurt. Feelings get hurt. People almost die. And it just gets really ugly. And the thing is, I could sit there and say, well, this is the kind of thing that only happens in movies. But you know what? It's not. I've known a lot of people in leadership positions who think that the best thing they should do is get their employees against each other. Either to compete against each other or to rat on each other, tell on each other, or just to not get along at all. I actually have known some of these people who, I've had to work with, who think that that's the best strategy in the world, is having everybody mad at everybody else. One, they don't talk to each other. Two, supposedly they'll start competing against each other and everyone will step up their game. You know what? It doesn't work. I mean, it may work to a slight degree every once in a while, but in the long run, it doesn't work. I've seen sales teams that think that, we're going to compete against these other people and we're going to dominate them and we're going to do all this other kind of stuff. But what ends up happening is that, one, if there's something that someone knows that someone else needs to know, they won't tell them. Sometimes within the exact same team, because nobody trusts anybody. And if employees can't get along, if they can't help each other, especially if you can't be around 24/7 or however many hours your office works, if people can't get along, if they can't help each other, then you've got a horrible office and nothing's going to get done. And that makes for a horrible business. Who wants to work there? Who wants to stay in something like that? And, I've always been one of those people who believes that we try to get everyone to get along. You don't necessarily have to like each other. I'm not looking for anybody to make friends with anybody else. However, when you're at work, I want you to get along. I want you to be able to work with someone else. If I need to put you in a team to work on a project, then I need to be able to just select people to work on a project without having to worry, well, so-and-so doesn't like so-and-so. I mean, come on. That's amateurish stuff. That's high school stuff. That's elementary school stuff. In business, you can't afford to not have people who will work with each other as professionals. But if you're going to be this kind of leader, you can't have it both ways. You can't have people who are fighting and then one day put them on a team and say, okay, you guys are going to, you know, be a team together. That may work for the WWE, but it doesn't work in real life. So, you know, this is my thought on it. And yes, it makes for a very good movie, but there was a whole lot of mess that happened in this movie because of this fraction that was basically set up. And, you know, in essence, some of the people felt like they didn't have a choice. So, you know, it was set up that way. And I see that kind of thing all the time. But you know what? You let me know. Do you like the idea that you're going to compete against other people? And that's, you know, the way that you want leadership to run you? Or if you're a leader, is that what you really think is the best way? Or isn't it better to have some harmony and have people working together and supporting each other towards the ultimate goal, whether it's a department goal or the company goal? Y'all let me know. I'm Mitch Mitchell. I hope you're having a wonderful week.